Welcome to our channel HD Rare Coin111, your go-to spot for uncovering the incredible world of rare US coins. If you've ever wondered if your old pennies, nickels, or dimes are worth more than face value, you're about to find out. In today's video, we'll be exploring some truly rare coins and their shocking values. And if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. So let's jump in. Top 1. The United States of America has a rich history, and one of the most iconic symbols of that history is its coinage. From the penny to the quarter, each coin tells a story of the country's development, economy, and artistry. Among the many coins minted in the United States, the Washington quarter dollar holds a special place, particularly the 1965 version. In this video, we're diving into the history and rarity of the 1965 Washington quarter, as well as its value and worth today. If you've ever wondered if that old quarter lying around in your coin jar could be worth a fortune, keep watching. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington, the first president of the United States, on his 200th birthday. The design was the work of sculptor John Flanagan, and it featured a portrait of Washington on the obverse, or front, of the coin. Over the years, the design remained largely unchanged, though the coin itself went through different phases depending on the economic needs of the time. Fast forward to 1965. This was a turbulent year for the United States. The country was in the midst of significant social and political changes, with the civil rights movement gaining momentum and the U.S. heavily involved in the Vietnam War. On the financial side, the U.S. government faced challenges that led to changes in its coinage. Due to rising silver prices and a shortage of the precious metal, the U.S. Mint decided to remove silver from most coins, including the Washington quarter. The 1965 Washington quarter, unlike its predecessors, was made primarily of a copper-nickel-clad composition, marking a major shift in coin production. While most 1965 quarters are not particularly rare, the story changes when we talk about a specific group of these coins. There were some unique errors that occurred during the minting process that made certain 1965 quarters extraordinarily rare. Among these errors are examples with double dies, wrong planchets, and misaligned strikes. These mistakes were not intentional, but the result is that some 1,965 quarters have become highly sought after by collectors. But here's the catch: not every 1965 quarter is valuable. In fact, most of them are worth just face value, which is 25 cents. It's the rare and unique ones, those with minting errors, that are worth significantly more. So, how much could one of these rare 1965 Washington quarters actually be worth today? Well, one such quarter, a 1965 Washington quarter with a rare and unique error, sold for an incredible $115,000. Yes, you read that right. $115,000. This coin, one of the few that has been identified with an error, is worth far more than just a handful of quarters. It's a prime example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can turn into a small fortune if you have the right one in your possession. You may be wondering what makes a coin like this so special. The answer lies in its rarity. Coins with minting errors are rare, and when you factor in the specific type of error, the rarity goes up exponentially. Collectors are always on the lookout for these unique specimens because they represent a slice of history that can never be reproduced. It's this combination of rarity, historical significance, and the story behind the coin that drives its value. If you're wondering if you have one of these rare 1965 Washington quarters in your collection, it's worth examining your coin more closely. Look for any signs of a minting error, such as double dies or misalignments. If you think you've found one, it might be a good idea to get it appraised by a professional coin grader to determine its authenticity and value. So, the next time you come across a 1965 Washington quarter, don't just toss it aside or spend it without a second thought. Take a moment to check it over. You never know, it might just be worth more than you could have ever imagined. After all, some 1965 Washington quarters have been known to sell for up to $115,000. In conclusion, while most 1965 Washington quarters are worth only $0.25, some of the rare and error-stricken versions can fetch staggering amounts of money. The value of these coins proves that history, rarity, and a little bit of luck can combine to turn something as simple as a quarter into a small treasure. Top 2. The United States of America has always had a deep connection to its coinage, each piece offering a glimpse into the nation's history, culture, and values. Among the coins that have stood the test of time is the Washington quarter dollar. Introduced in 1932, the quarter honors George Washington, the first President of the United States. Over the decades, this coin has undergone several changes, yet it remains an essential part of American currency. However, there's one particular year of the Washington quarter that has attracted significant attention from collectors and investors. The 1967 Washington quarter. 1967 was a pivotal year for the United States, both socially and economically. The country was in the midst of the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War was ongoing, and the nation was facing inflationary pressures. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint continued its work of producing coins that represented the country's evolving economy. The Washington quarter of 1967, like its predecessors, featured a portrait of George Washington on the obverse, but there was something special about the 1967 coins that would later pique the interest of numismatists. For most people, a typical 1967 Washington quarter wouldn't be of much significance beyond its face value of 25 cents. But for those with a keen eye for detail, 1967 quarters might hold something far more valuable. Much like any other series of coins, errors during production can create unique and rare examples. And it's these rare examples of 1967 Washington quarters that have fetched surprising amounts of money in the coin collecting world. Now, you might be asking, what makes the 1967 Washington quarter stand out among the others? Well, for one thing, this coin was produced during a time of significant change in U.S. currency production. In 1965, the U.S. Mint began removing silver from most coins due to rising silver prices, and by 1967, quarters were made primarily of a copper-nickel composition. This marked the end of an era for silver coins and added a layer of historical context to the 1967 quarter. However, even beyond the composition of the coin, certain 1967 quarters had unique minting errors that made them highly sought after by collectors. One of the most notable errors found on some 1967 Washington quarters is known as the double die error. This occurs when the coin's design is stamped multiple times during the minting process, causing a doubled image on certain elements of the design, such as Washington's profile or the lettering on the coin. These errors are often hard to spot, requiring a careful inspection of the coin under magnification, but when collectors do find these specimens, they're often worth much more than the typical 25-cent piece. Another notable feature of the 1967 quarter is the possibility of a clipped planchet error. This occurs when the metal planchet, or blank coin, used in production is accidentally clipped during the minting process. A clipped planchet results in a coin with an irregular shape, often missing a portion of the edge. These types of errors are also rare and can make certain 1967 quarters extremely valuable, as collectors prize them for their unique characteristics. In addition to these errors, the general demand for coins from this era has also driven the prices of 1967 Washington quarters upwards. As collectors continue to seek out rarities, coins from this period that are in excellent condition or have been preserved in pristine quality can fetch higher prices. Of course, the value of any coin is determined by several factors, including rarity, condition, and demand from collectors. So, how much could a 1967 Washington quarter with one of these errors or unique qualities be worth? Well, you might be surprised to learn that some of these rare 1967 quarters have sold for astounding prices. In fact, a particularly rare example of a 1967 Washington quarter with a minting error recently sold for $105,000. That's right, $105,000 for a single quarter, proving that a coin's value can soar when it possesses the right combination of rarity, historical significance, and collector interest. This remarkable sale highlights just how lucrative coin collecting can be. What may seem like an ordinary quarter to most people could turn out to be a treasure if you happen to find one with the right error or characteristic. Of course, finding a coin like this is a rare occurrence, and most 1967 quarters are still worth just face value. But for the lucky few who come across an error coin or one in exceptional condition, the rewards can be truly astounding. If you have a 1967 Washington quarter in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. You might just have a hidden gem sitting in your coin jar or collection. Remember, when it comes to coin collecting, it's all about paying attention to the details. The tiniest flaw or mistake during production can transform a simple coin into a highly valuable collector's item. To wrap up, the 1967 Washington quarter is a fascinating piece of American history, and for collectors, it offers the potential for a rare find. While most 1967 quarters are worth only their face value, those with minting errors or in exceptional condition can be worth a great deal more. In fact, some of these rare 1967 quarters have been known to sell for up to $105,000, making them highly prized and sought after by serious coin collectors. So, the next time you come across a 1967 Washington quarter, take a moment to examine it closely. You never know, it could be worth far more than you think. Top 3. The United States has a rich history, and its coins are no exception. From the iconic pennies to the beloved quarters, each coin tells a part of the story of the nation's evolution. One coin that has garnered the attention of collectors and investors alike is the Washington quarter. Introduced in 1932, the Washington quarter features the portrait of the first president, George Washington. Over the years, this coin has remained a staple of American currency, but some years have produced examples that have become highly coveted for their rarity and unique qualities. One such year is 1972, a year that might seem ordinary at first glance, but when you dig deeper, you'll discover some Washington quarters from that year are worth far more than just 25 cents. The 1972 Washington quarter has a fascinating history. While the design remained largely the same as previous years, the country was going through significant changes. The late 60s and early 70s were marked by social upheaval, the end of the Vietnam War, and the rise of the counterculture movement. Despite the shifting social landscape, the U.S. Mint continued producing these coins, many of which would go on to become a significant part of American numismatic history. Most 1972 Washington quarters are relatively common, made of a copper-nickel alloy, and don't carry much value beyond their face value of 25 cents. However, what makes the 1972 quarter particularly interesting to coin collectors is the presence of rare minting errors that occurred during its production. These errors can range from doubling on the coin's design to incorrect die rotations. These seemingly small mistakes can make all the difference in a coin's value. A minor error on a coin might not seem like much, but to the right collector, it can turn a simple quarter into a small fortune. One of the most notable and sought-after errors in the 1972 Washington quarter series is the double die variety. A double die error occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing the design to appear as though it is doubled. This can happen on the lettering, the date, or even on Washington's profile. For collectors, finding a double die 1972 quarter is like striking gold. These errors are not only rare but also highly valuable, and they have driven the prices of some 1972 quarters into the thousands. Another type of error that has caught the attention of collectors is the repunched mintmark error. This happens when the mintmark on the coin is punched into the die more than once, resulting in a blurred or double mintmark. While this type of error might seem small, it is highly prized among coin enthusiasts who specialize in minting errors. In addition to these errors, the overall demand for 1972 Washington quarters has steadily risen over the years. As more and more collectors seek out rarer and more unique coins, the prices of quarters from this period have been on the rise. Coins that are in pristine condition, free from scratches or wear, are also more valuable. While finding an error coin can be rare, the demand for coins from this era, especially those in excellent condition, continues to grow. So, how much can a 1972 Washington quarter with a significant error or in exceptional condition be worth? The answer might surprise you. Some of these rare 1972 quarters have sold for astounding amounts at auction, proving that the value of a coin can be far greater than its face value. In fact, one particularly rare 1972 Washington quarter with a notable error was sold for an incredible $82,000. That's right, $82,000 for a single quarter, a piece of history that was once only worth 25 cents. This sale exemplifies the incredible potential of coin collecting. What was once just a quarter, circulating as part of everyday life, turned into a treasure of great value due to its rarity and historical significance. While it's not every day that you find a quarter worth tens of thousands of dollars, it's important to remember that coins with minting errors, especially those from significant years like 1972, can be worth far more than you might expect. So, what does this mean for you? If you have a 1972 Washington quarter in your collection, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. You might have a rare double die, repunched mint mark, or another error coin sitting in your collection right now. Even if the coin doesn't have a noticeable error, a coin in excellent condition, free from wear, could still fetch a nice sum on the market. Coin collecting is all about paying attention to the details. Whether you're just getting started or you're an experienced numismatist, it's crucial to inspect your coins carefully. A coin with a subtle error or a pristine example from a significant year could make all the difference in its value. And while most 1972 Washington quarters are worth just 25 cents, the potential for a rare, error-filled version is what makes coin collecting so exciting and rewarding. In conclusion, the 1972 Washington quarter is an intriguing piece of American history. While most of these quarters are worth no more than their face value, a rare 1972 quarter with a minting error or one in exceptional condition can fetch surprising amounts. The value of these coins has soared, with some examples selling for as much as $82,000. So, the next time you find a 1972 Washington quarter, don't be so quick to dismiss it. You just might be holding on to a hidden treasure. Top 4. When you think of iconic American coins, the Washington quarter immediately comes to mind. First minted in 1932 to celebrate George Washington's 200th birthday, this coin has remained a cornerstone of U.S. currency for decades. It's one of those coins that people often don't give a second thought to when they pull it out of their pockets. After all, it's just 25 cents, right? But there's one year of the Washington quarter, the 1974 issue, that might make you reconsider the value of that seemingly ordinary coin you have tucked away in your change jar. In 1974, the United States was experiencing a period of economic instability. The country was grappling with the aftereffects of the Vietnam War, rising inflation, and the energy crisis. During this time, the U.S. Mint was still producing quarters with the same designs, but what many people didn't know is that a small number of 1974 Washington quarters were produced with unique characteristics that would later make them extremely valuable. The 1974 Washington quarter is a great example of how the right mix of timing, rarity, and production errors can turn a common coin into something worth a small fortune. Like most quarters produced during the 1970s, these coins were made from a copper-nickel alloy instead of the silver that had been used in earlier decades. So, on the surface, it might seem like another run-of-the-mill quarter. But it's important to remember that even small inconsistencies during the minting process can lead to significant increases in value for certain coins. And that's exactly what happened with the 1974 Washington quarter. Many 1974 quarters were minted without any particular errors or special characteristics, meaning they are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, there were certain coins that were struck with unique mistakes or features that caught the attention of collectors. These errors could range from doubled dies, where the design is struck twice, creating a blurry or doubled image on the coin, to more subtle errors like off-center strikes or even misaligned dies. One of the most notable errors that has been found on the 1974 Washington quarter is the famous doubled die variety. A doubled die occurs when a coin is struck more than once, causing some parts of the design to appear blurry or doubled. In the case of the 1974 quarter, some coins were struck in such a way that George Washington's image and the inscriptions on the coin showed noticeable doubling. This error made these quarters incredibly valuable to coin collectors, who are always on the lookout for coins that carry these rare features. Another factor that contributes to the value of a 1974 Washington quarter is the overall condition of the coin. As with most coins, the better the condition, the more it's worth. Coins that are free of scratches, blemishes, and signs of wear are highly sought after, and the 1974 Washington quarter is no exception. A coin that has been well preserved over the years, especially one with an error or unique characteristic, can be worth far more than a quarter in typical circulation. What really drives the value of these coins is their rarity. Most 1974 Washington quarters are relatively common, but when you combine the rarity of an error coin with the demand from collectors, the price can skyrocket. That's why certain 1974 quarters, even those that aren't in perfect condition, have fetched surprising amounts in recent auctions. So, how much could a 1974 Washington quarter be worth? Well, as with many other rare coins, it all depends on the specific characteristics of the coin and its condition. A standard 1974 Washington quarter without any errors is still worth just 25 cents. However, some of the rare 1974 quarters with minting errors or those in excellent condition have sold for prices that might surprise you. In fact, one of the most sought-after 1974 Washington quarters, featuring a notable error, was sold for an astonishing $75,000. Yes, you heard that right, $75,000 for a single quarter. This sale exemplifies the amazing potential for discovering hidden treasures in the world of coin collecting. What may seem like a simple, everyday quarter could turn out to be worth tens of thousands of dollars if it's one of those rare, error-stricken coins. And while most people may never come across such a find, it's always worth taking a closer look at the coins you have, as you never know when you might stumble upon something valuable. For collectors, finding a 1974 Washington quarter with an error or one in pristine condition can be an exciting and rewarding experience. If you have one of these quarters in your possession, you could be holding onto a coin that's far more valuable than you might have realized. Even if you don't find a rare error coin, it's still worth keeping an eye on the condition of your 1974 Washington quarters, as they might just become more valuable over time. In conclusion, the 1974 Washington quarter may seem like just another coin at first glance, but it has the potential to be much more. Thanks to its historical significance and the occasional minting errors, certain 1974 quarters have become highly prized by collectors and have fetched incredible prices. While most 1974 Washington quarters are worth only 25 cents, a rare example with an error or one in excellent condition could be worth as much as $75,000. So, the next time you come across a 1974 quarter, remember, what seems ordinary to one person might be worth a fortune to another.